What's up, everybody? Big Hurt 916, getting down with Fresh Out. You know how we do it over here. We like to keep it rolling with a lot of interesting guests on the show. And we have somebody today from Tucson, Arizona, right down the street from me. And a rapper, did some time, got a hell of a story. 82.6, in the house. So, man, let's get right into it. Tell the people a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you grew up.
Yeah. I'm 82.6. I grew up on the East Coast, you know what I mean, like in New York, a little bit in Virginia as a kid, and I came out to Tucson around 2001, 2002, and life changed after that. Life changed. Have a lot of family members out here in the streets and shit like that, and kind of just like sucked me in. I wasn't banging or anything like that, but there was a point when I was a kid going to high school out here in Tucson around like 2002, 2003. There was something like a it was popular to either be a jack boy, stealing cars or or selling drugs or like home invasions. And that was just kind of like that's what was popular. It's crazy to think back on it, but that's what kids were doing, and I got caught up in that, and that's kind of why I'm here today, really, just getting caught up in just like the crazy shit that I thought was cool as a kid, and so a lot of street life, a lot of violence, and it all kind of started when I was like 15, roughly around 15, from 15 to
Did
17.
you have any male role models in the house? Was your father around, or uncle, or
Nah,
anybody?
nah. So my pops, I never met the guy, but my pops got 32 years in prison about a few months before I was born. He was trying to do
Man,
some, he was trying to do some Frank Lucas shit, moving drugs to the military. It didn't work. Well, actually, I don't know. It might have, but he got caught. He got caught either way. And yeah, no pops. There was no male like anywhere around, and that's another thing about like the streets. It's like there's older cats. There's older cats. There's bigger dudes. There's dudes who have stripes that seem like people you look up to, and those cats become you know the role models in a sense. Even though these motherfuckers are 19 years old, 18 years old, you know what I mean? But if like from where I was at, if a cat had like a body on him, you know what I mean, then he was automatically like, okay, this person knows what he's doing. This person is someone that we look up to, just crazy fucking mindset. But yeah, no, there was no guidance. Like the closest thing to any kind of like structured guidance, it's gonna sound crazy, but the closest thing to any like kind of like structured guidance was like the niggas I was listening to like rap. You know what I mean? Like it was fucking. I remember, and I sucked at selling drugs. I sold drugs for a very small period of time. I sucked at selling drugs. But I remember like cooking crack for the first time, and I got Jeezy playing. You know what I mean? I got 8 Ball and MJG playing in the back. You know what I mean? That's what I was looking up to. Was that kind of like that kind of facade. You know what I mean? Not to say that they weren't really doing that, but for me it was a facade. You know what I mean? So definitely no kind of role models, no role models at all. Really, it was just the streets and who had a pistol. Really,
and hearing that it's pretty crazy, man. When you think about the young the young youth out there, the young males, the young black youth, just minority youth or white youth, when you're looking at somebody through music and you're hearing a song and you're like looking to that for guidance,
yeah,
that's insanity, bro. And I think about it too, because I remember when I was locked up in juvenile hall, NWA came out, so you would listen to it over and over again to
right,
try to figure out like how you can relate to what they're talking about, and you're trying to find some type of connection. And then you're seeing dudes in the hood, and you see in the cars and the girls, and dude, it's like you're hypnotized, man. It's like you're
yeah,
almost in a trance, and you're on autopilot. You're just doing shit, and you don't even half the shit you're doing. You don't even know why you're doing it. And it's like it's sad, bro. And like that's one of the things I always try to reflect on, like, how did I get pulled into that? And then, the only thing that really snaps you out of that is a jail term that makes you have to sit down and deal with, your circumstances. Because if you're out there and you're not getting caught, it just, everything just escalates. Drug dealing, burglary, robbery, then you might catch a body by accident, or or not by, what I mean. So it just keeps going, and it's like, man, how do we break that? How do we change that paradigm? And it's like, it's crazy, man, because I'm just, I think about, like, never met my dad, running around. You start looking at different things, and your environment plays a factor.
Yeah.
Like you said, you got around street dudes, and it's like, if you were around somebody else doing something positive, maybe that would influence you to do something positive.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so crazy, man, when you don't have the mentors out there. So how old were you when you actually, caught your case, and what was the situation that was the case that led to you going to prison?
So I caught my case at 17 years old, and it's there's a lot I can say about it, but there's also still things that I cannot say about it. And the case is closed, you know, but there's certain things I can't say about it. So so I was definitely at a very horrible point in my life. Um, as far as like my mindset, as far as my mindset, like there's a park, and I think about this all the time. There's a park down the street from where I used to live on the east side of Tucson called Freedom Park, and I remember as like a kid, one of my goals was to was to be like the hardest motherfucker at this park. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of where we all were. You know what I mean? Like who could be the most feared person over here in this area, right? So that's where I was at mentally, and so with the case that that I got arrested on. Um, so earlier that night, I was involved a with another thing that didn't happen. I was supposed to go do a robbery the night that this happened. I was supposed to do a robbery with someone I later found out was trying to set me up. Another story, but I was supposed to do a robbery with someone, and they came to me because I had pistols, and I met them, and I gave them a gun, and it didn't work out. Right, it didn't work out for whatever reason. So that job didn't work out. So I have this time on my hand at night, and someone called me and said, "Hey, would you be available to, help me out with the situation over here?" And so that situation became me going in someone's house and killing a man and killing a man. Um, I I shot him once in the chest, and he started screaming, and he died shortly after. And I, I honestly, I still hear him losing his breath. I still hear all that shit. And so yeah, that happened when I was 17. And like I said, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of small details about it that I can't really get into. But so yeah, I killed an innocent man. I killed an innocent man. Basically, it wasn't on like some gang shit. It wasn't on some retribution type shit. It was on some horrible, stupid type shit. You know. So I killed an innocent man and went to school the next day like it was nothing. Um, Keyword like it was nothing. Um, and again, whenever I do tell people about this, I always preface it by saying like I was a very different person. I was a very different person. Numb is the right word. So I went to school. I was still in high school at the time, doing horribly in high school. So I didn't give a fuck. I was at that point I was still selling drugs, but I didn't give a fuck. So went to school. Um, Cops showed up very quickly. Very quickly. No one's, everyone, showed up very quickly, which I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at it at all. But cops showed up at my school, and I had a bunch of jewelry on, and I remember detectives pulling up, get me out the class, and I gave all my jewelry to this bitch, and she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm out of here. I'm out of here." Like I already knew. And again, what you were saying about just like going on autopilot, um, it wasn't really until like the cuffs were on my wrists that I actually stopped and thought for like the first time in 2 years, like what the fuck is going on? There is like I had gotten to the point of so sloppily just in the streets. I got to the point where I was just like hiding the clothes I would buy. I was hiding guns. I was hiding just like cocaine and shit, just like in blatant areas, like in front of family members. And looking back, I know that I was trying to get caught. But when you're in it, it's just like, oh, this is me stunting, this is me flexing, this is me being hard, this is me being tough. But that wasn't really it. But so yeah, so that happened when I was 17 years old, and got arrested, and so this man, this innocent black man that I killed, he worked for Raytheon, which is a missile manufacturing organization out here in Tucson, I believe, and so that added a whole other layer to my charge. And for a long time, I was looking at the death penalty, and once that got out, to my family and to friends, that I was looking at the death penalty, everyone was so obviously just, fucking heartbroken. Because I was a good kid. I was a good kid. I made films. I always shot films, photographer, artist. Always did all this shit on the side. And then after 30, whenever school was out, it was on. But so when I got the death penalty, like presumption, like hers gonna get the death penalty, everyone was sad. Everyone was fucking heartbroken, and I was just like, all right, cool. I was so numb. I was so numb, and that that's just fucking lost, just completely fucking lost. And I wasn't on drugs. I didn't do drugs. I didn't really smoke weed back then. Um, it was just the mindset that I was in. Um, yeah, that's where I was at mentally. That's where I was at mentally. So death penalty for a while, and I turned 18 in county, and they're like, okay, maybe we'll just give you life in prison. So all right, cool, bet. I still didn't care, and eventually it got down to 10 to 22, 10 to 22 years, and at sentencing, my mother stood up in court. She's a whole other story. We don't need to get into it. She's a whole other story. My mother stood up in court and said, I believe my son should get the 22 years. And the judge didn't listen, and he just gave me 16 instead. So at 17, I got 16 years in prison for a horrible fucking crime. And it's, it's, there's so many other things I could have got arrested for. There's a million other things I could have got arrested for. But that is